So we have been talking about that 1904 and other years wherein we had the human zoo. Now, let's try to see if there are some remnants of the cultural showcasing that happened long, long time ago in this day and age.
Welcome to another episode of Maestro Speaks podcast.
The equivalent of love is forgiveness.
Mhm.
You cannot love without forgiveness.
Lumabalin ka iti yang generation anda kumamot nga mapasaran.
Ganda nga morning mo ako, El Maestro.
Tanya de kung nanay tayo may isa.
I-appeal mo.
Buhayin.
Apil ko man kada gitu ko. Pipi ako man pilit gansi. Tutok na.
Di pa nag-approach mo rin?
Amo pa.
Approach.
Beta. Nang nangag ko nga ibagbagan pa lang nilulak iti.
You better know the substance of the law.
Bayaw mo nang ibagas ni Manong.
And who cares if people have dark skin, right?
Kaanakan iti with expiration.
You find any inspiration in this, we have done, and you have done your noble part.
El Maestro Speaks podcast.
Okay, so as I was saying a while ago, um, so we have this, what do you call this one? Cultural showcase that happened long time ago, and the most popular one that was known was the 1904 St. Louis Fair, wherein a lot of natives from different parts of the Philippines, when the Philippines was annexed by America, was brought to St. Louis. And at the same time, of course, one of those tribes was the Igorots. So we've been talking about this nonstop in the past episode of this podcast. Now, one of the reason why I really like, and I mean, I've been talking about this nonstop, is that, of course, the place where these egrets are or where they're from is very near my place, and it's actually in my municipality. They're from Suyok, and one young woman from Suyok, Mankayan, died actually in St. Louis, and his body was not returned completely, if my information is right. So they returned part of her, but her brain was taken by the Smithsonian Institute to be studied. Like what I said in the past episode, that those are we, or those our ancestors, or the Igors listening, were considered to be primitive and not totally evolved human, as there's this interest to study their brain, what makes them different, something like that. All because of the theory of evolution, you know. All right, so when those things happen, of course, some of them were able to get home, told their stories of this big claims of this unique machine wherein there are people whose color of skins are different. They saw elephants, things like that, right? And most of all, they have shown their culture. They do what they do in Suyok or in whatever place they're from. They just do their daily activities, and some people will give them money, right? Those tourists or sightseers amused of what they saw they're doing gave them money, things like that. So they came back and they shared that to to the village, and maybe people who have never been out of that part of the mountain were so amazed by those stories. Young children listening to those stories were so amazed that they even dreamed of going to that strange land where you have to cross a very large river using a very large ship just to arrive there and see those people and just do the things that you do every day, and some people will give you money. So if you're the child listening to that one, your curiosity, you'll have this curiosity and you would like to find it out for yourself. You want to do it. And people grew up listening to those stories. I'm not even sure if because I saw a theater play. The title is Namilika. I cannot remember who is the writer. I saw this play when I was in high school of the same story. They went to America to showcase their culture. I mean, to be displayed in a human zoo, to be exhibited in a human zoo, and then he came back and he was claiming that, or I mean, he was telling the elders that they should consider him as a kadangyan. Kadangyan means someone is an elevated status in the olden days, of someone elevated status of someone who has wealth. Okay, um, so most probably, and it's not in the realms of impossible. I mean, it's possible that because of their experience, their status were elevated. But in the eyes of history, they were actually sort of like abused as they were exhibited and were viewed as a primitive human, right? Going back to what I'm saying a while ago. So this people came back, shared their stories. They share their stories to everyone who can listen. Now, these stories were passed down, right, to children. Okay, now we know children. We know children growing up have their dreams. Say of, oh, maybe I can do that also someday, and I can be okay. My family's status will be elevated. Things like that. Okay, if that is all possible. I'm sorry if there are some historians who are listening to me right now. You can correct me on this one. But I want my family, or I want to be a Kadangyan, and one way that I can do that maybe is to go with this white man, do whatever I do, show it to the white people, and maybe when I come back, I can be a Kadangyan. Things like that, right? Okay. So this was like imprinted in the minds and in the ways of living of our ancestor. It's kind of like, right, in the olden days, take an example in the lowland setting, wherein people, okay, just like the Egrets worship Bathala, right? Now, here comes the Spanish, and they taught you Christianism or Christianity, and they showed you that okay, if you're a Christian, you'll be like this. Okay, they showed you all the benefits of becoming a Christian. Now, a young child looking at that will see that, oh, okay, so if we're a Christian, we can do this. Okay, there's that benefit of becoming Christian. Then I want to be a Christian. So something like that. It's comparable to that. Like it's already imprinted to the culture. So that's sort of what happened to the ignorance. Okay. Now, why am I saying this? Is because I saw a post on Facebook by someone. The Facebook page name is just the Eagle. Now, this post is I'm supposed to be talking about MMA today, since all the arranged guests that I'd be having um, did not materialize for this day. So, okay, I was supposed to be talking about MMA, but then here I saw this one and I really want to talk about this. Give my piece on this one here. Okay, so the post came from the Igorot. The post is okay. Showing. Let me just review. Okay, yeah, they're selling some Igorot products, woven clothing, with ethnic designs. They're also showing pictures, the old pictures of, yeah, of course, the Igorot nation. Now, the post was 1 day old and it says, Dear tourists, thank you for taking selfies with our grandparents. And he is talking about the when you go to Baguio, for those who are listening or not from the Philippines or from the Philippines and didn't come to Baguio, when you go to Baguio City, there are some parks here, specifically Botanical Garden. And right in front of the park, there are, okay, as he calls it, and yeah, rightfully so, they are our grandparents, our elders, in their full Igorot attire. Um, yeah, just standing there, sitting there, and having pictures with tourists in exchange for a coin, like for tip. In I don't know. I don't know. That's what you call it, Americans, right? Tip. So they'll take a picture with the tourists, and then of course you gotta give them a tip. Okay, and it's very common here in our place in Baguio City. It's like part of the attraction. Sometimes they go during Christmas season. They go down to Manila with the full attire, and then they are asking for. It's not. I will not categorize it as an alms or limos in Filipino, but they're asking for like a because their term is Maki Christmas. It's like they're going the notion is that they're going there and Christmas is like asking some coin from people, and it was viewed by the outsiders who does not understand the culture as limos. That's why if you go to lowlands, and I have experienced this, I have a first-hand experience of this one back when I was a kid. When they say, "Oh, so you're from Baguio," and they'll say, "Oh, um, these are your people. They're asking for alms or they're asking for limos. Yung mga kababayan nyo, namamalimos." That's how they say it in Tagalog. Yeah, I experienced that firsthand. I heard it firsthand. And the second one is, oh, taga Baguio ka. Maraming marijuana doon. Ano? That one. Okay. It just came out of the blue. I just remembered it, you know. Okay. So, uh, their in I don't know in their view, our elders in their views that it's we know Christmas is the spirit of giving, so they're there. Maki Christmas, there. That is how I can simplify it, but it's not merely for limos, but it's really that the kalo. They're going there. for Christmas. Okay, so let me just continue what I'm reading here. So, dear tourists, thank you for taking selfies with our grandparents, as I'm saying, the ones at the parks of Baguio City. Thank you for capturing them in their raw nativeness. Akin to the event in 1904 in USA, when the civilized world showcased the daily lives of our ancestors. This is the remnant of such influence. Exactly. I agree with him or with her with what they said. That's why I explained it a while ago that when this cake people maybe that came from those human exhibits came back and told their stories, okay, it was viewed as something positive because oh, so we're just doing what they're doing and then they're just giving us money. That's it. It was viewed as a positive, right? Especially so if, like what I said, if when they came back, their status in the community was elevated, something like that. Because when you go out of the community, most, okay, most certainly, okay, most often than not, your knowledge will improve, right? You got things, you have seen things, you have stories to tell. Okay? And that was in the old days. Now, the thing that's happening now is exactly the remnant of the influence of what happened, of what, of the, let's just say, for the lack of a better word, of the abuse that was done centuries ago, the abuse that was done to our forefathers, foreparents, right? And that was the remnant, the remains that can still be seen, okay, in our culture, that still be seen in some parks in our city. There is hunger for the unusual. That is right. Tourists will keep searching for the egress, and if they see our grandparents, their curiosity will be fulfilled. Egrets were often portrayed shrouded in mystery as headhunters, natives of the mountain, still living the backward way like a caveman, one could see. And one could say, I blame, as part of it, this can be blamed with the education that we have. We're not or yeah, with educations because and I'm not sure, but there are some books that has wrong informations about egrets, and it's a bit painful to see that this is happening even at this modern age. I have a friend, a teacher also, who shared me a story of when he went to Cebu City to work there, and they asked where he's from, and he said he's from Baguio, and he's an Igorot, and they were amazed when he said that he's an Igorot because the image that they have about Igorots is totally different from what they saw. I mean, I think they still think that Igorots are like what the writer said, backward, living a backward way. Okay, as a headhunters. Now, again, we discussed this in a past episode. Not all egos are headhunters. Okay. Now, sure to disappoint, dear loving tourist, if you see our grandparents, do know their descendants are in every professions. Most are professionals now. Do not be surprised to find them enjoying their retirement this way. The only reason must be boredom. It hurts us to see them beg, being mistreated in any way, but if you tell them to stop or make them stay at home to die of boredom, be ready nga masipangol. Masipangol means to be slapped. Because as daughters of the headhunters Stubbornness runs strong in their veins. No one can stop an Aleppo of something she believes is harmless. No amount of explaining will help her understand. Right. Okay. So, uh, there's an issue, and if you're going to read the comments here, there are some tourists, um, or they have seen some tourists, not all of them, but some tourists mistreating these elders, and taking pictures. I mean, I don't know if they're chirping or they're having. I cannot explain it, but let's just put it in a description of mistreating the elders. All right. Now, the writer wants to, and I agree with her or with him that, yeah, these elders, you might be shocked when you go to their homes and they got big homes with two, three cars parked in the parking areas. Most of them actually have professional daughters, sons. Some are working abroad, and maybe some have high positions in wherever they're working. That is true. Okay. Now, what is it then? What is it then that this old people, so old that they can even barely walk, sometimes they're having hard time to walk, still wake up so early in the morning, wear their costumes, go stay under the sun at those parks in our city, waiting for tourists to have pictures and then just to have small amount of money. Why do they still do that if they are, I mean, if they have good life? Okay. The reason there is that boredom, and he is right about that. I've seen elders from our place, and I've seen my grandmother, both of them. Okay, if you tell them to retire, they will still have to find ways to move, right? They have to find ways to work. And of course, these elders, our grandparents, okay, thought that this way, going to Botanical Park, having a picture, is one way to fight boredom. It's one way of energizing them. This gives them purpose to wake up every day. Okay. We cannot tell them to please stop doing that. You cannot tell it to them. Yeah. Even us, their I mean, yeah, their sons and daughters cannot tell them to stop because it is like we are removing the lifeline that they have. Okay. That is how they found a purpose for their life. Okay. And so the writer is begging you, and I also is begging you not to mistreat them. All right. Doing what they're doing is, in my opinion, is harmless, right? And of course, it's satisfying. You want to see someone wearing the garb of people in the olden days. There they are. Okay. Maybe you can also ask them about the cultures, about the beliefs of the Egrets long, long time ago. There they are. Okay. Instead of Googling it, okay, you can go directly to them. And the information you will get from them is, I guess, most probably more authentic than the one that you can have from the Google. All right. So I guess what the reader is asking here, I mean the writer. Why do I keep on saying reader? What the writer is asking here is that please understand, okay? And respect. You are, I mean, you're stepping on Igorot land. That's their land. That's their place. And you have to respect them. What they're doing is harmless. I'm not, if they're asking for alms, you can just say no, right? There's nothing wrong with that. Okay? You can just say no. He was born during the time. So let's continue. She says, she was born during the time when discrimination was strong. Maybe she got used to degradation attached to the name Igorot. She simply don't care. Answer with silence, Chitubeko. Smile and live life as usual. Yeah, that's them. That's our grandparents. Okay, they really don't care at all. They were like used to, okay, being degraded. Okay, and oftentimes you will hear this from old people. Uh, because still, I have witnessed this also, where people will say, "Oh, you people of the mountains are so ignorant." Now, when you listen to this old people say talk, they will just say, "Oh, we're just people from the mountain. We are ignorant. We don't have money. We are very poor." That's how they describe themselves. Okay, I will tell you, try to talk to them. That's how they will describe themselves. And I'm sure that's the effect of the discrimination that they experienced when they were young, the discrimination that they experienced, I mean, the witness that's happened to their parents, it happened to their community. And so they just embrace it like that. Okay. Again, that's how they do it. They just go through life, accept it and go through life. But again, like what the writer said, most of the member of their families are professionals. Just remember that. And maybe some of them is even running the city or the place where you're standing. Okay. So, I mean, the bottom line here is everywhere we go, okay, is human. We should respect everyone, regardless of what their status in life is. Okay. Everything you see, especially we're talking about cultures, treat it with respect. Respecting something that you do not understand, okay, will come in learning. Okay? I mean, if you start respecting something, sooner or later you will learn how to understand it, and you will understand it fast, and you know you will appreciate it better with respect. Again, if you cannot understand it, at least learn how to respect it. That's it. Okay. And that will go a long way. Again, we are all Filipinos. We have different cultures, different ways of life, different ways of viewing life. Okay. At least what we can do for each other as a nation is to start respecting each other's culture. Baguio is now, I mean, it has always been the melting pot of culture. Okay? And that did not happen if the Igorots did not respect the cultures of people from other places. Baguio became a melting pot, I mean, the meeting place of all cultures here in the northern part of the Philippines because the original settlers here, which are the Igorots, respected other cultures. Now you can find mosque in Baguio. That means people in Baguio respected that kind of religion. That is what I'm trying to say here. Okay, brought about by this one here. Okay, I explained it to you the reason why you can still see this, our grandparents there, that I've already told you that, okay, you might not know who their daughters and sons are. Okay, so what we can do is always respect them and respect anyone that we meet along the way. That's it for this episode of El Maestro Speaks podcast. And yeah, I'll be seeing you in the next one. Have a good day, everyone.